got citrus aromatic flavours from your galangal and base spices for your soup noodles. The perfect balance along with the soy or deep soy savoury flavour and a simple topping of some beef or pork and some pork meatballs on the side. This here is Thai boat noodle soup. It's a relaxing Wok Wednesday here at School Wok. As if we're on holiday in Thailand and you're sort of on the boats, sort of heading down the river, picking up a quick noodle soup along the way. It all starts with a stock. You're going to blanch your pork bones or beef bones, get all the sort of fatty impurities out first, and then get some chicken stock into there just to speed that sort of flavour up a little. The rest of the stock ingredients, we've got some onion and loads of garlic. Chopped up galangal, some lemongrass, not bashed because I want it quite sort of mellow, and nothing sort of too overpowering. Some frozen coriander root, star anise, coriander seed, some white peppercorns, and a bit of cinnamon stick. Let that stock bubble away for as long as possible. That soup and stock takes a good amount of time, at least 2-3 hours to boil away. You've got plenty of time to prep everything else. I've got morning glory here, or ong choy. Now I'm going to just cut that into rough chunks, ready to top my noodle soup with later on. And if you have been to Thailand, if you've tried this noodle soup, you would have noticed that the soup or the stock itself is quite dark in colour. That's because it's got a sort of base or soybean base flavour. And that all starts with these fermented, salted soybeans here that kind of look like gone off baked beans. And the liquid itself is super salty. I don't mind that because I've got a lot of stock, a lot of soup. And what you're going to do is make a sort of paste out of this first. I want to balance out that salty paste, which if you can't find those beans, you could swap out with, say, miso paste or an actual soybean paste as well. I'm going to balance that saltiness out with this rock sugar. Crush that. That just helps the rock sugar to melt into the stock much quicker. Now I've got about 2.5 tablespoons of light soy. And then for that deep colour that I'm talking about, that deep soy colour, 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. In Thailand, you get this sauce that's called Golden Mountain sauce, a cross between a dark soy and a sweet soy. If you can't find that, you can just swap it out with a little bit of sweet soy sauce or ketchup mayonnaise. Next up, I've got a lovely steak here. This is a rump steak here, and I'm going to go for nice thin slices of my steak because I'm going to put this into the soup at the very end, just sort of blanching to serve, almost as if you're taking an order and you wanted to serve up your fresh food really nice and fresh, but quickly, then it needs to be sliced thin. So my beef, I'm actually going to take some of this soy mix just to marinate my beef lightly. Give that a good massage and then pop that aside or in the fridge for later. So my soup is bubbling away nicely and I've got this wonderful seasoning sauce here that I'm just going to pour into there. And that just immediately changed the colour of the soup and that will just bubble away more and more over the next couple of hours. These street food style noodles usually have a selection of toppings that you can sort of choose to put on top. And quite often you'll get these pork or beef meatballs. It's very easy to make up yourself. I've got some pork mince here, some fatty pork mince. And I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of panko breadcrumbs into here. And that'll just help to sort of bind it. And I want to create this almost a little bit of a bounce to the meatball. And I'm going to season that up very simply with half a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of white pepper. I also want it to sort of soak in the breadcrumbs a little, so I'm going to put a couple of spoons of water and then give it a good blitz. Once you've blitzed it for a couple of minutes, a good couple of minutes, you'll notice that it's got a much more sort of white, pinky white sort of colour. And it should be all sort of combined or well combined, a little bit almost congealed. Make the meatballs up, much like any other meatballs. A bowl of water is always useful. And you're going for sort of bite-sized meatballs, nothing too big. So my soup or my stock has been going for a good 3 to 4 hours. Don't waste the meat that comes off that bone. You can use that to serve up if you wish. Now all the flavour is in the soup already. So first thing you want to do is get those meatballs into there because they'll need sort of 3 to 4 minutes to cook up. And they'll float to the top once they're ready. So you'll be able to see them once they're fully cooked. And whilst they're cooking, you can set up your noodles. So your noodles, I've got some rice noodles here, and they can go straight in. And they don't take long at all. You're probably talking, I've already soaked them for about 8 minutes in hot water. So you're talking a minute just to warm through and bubble up. I've got, as I say, this meat from the actual beef bone just falling off the bone here. Serve that up as well. Be generous with these noodles. It's homemade pork meatballs. My veg, my bean sprouts, because I've got so many of them, I'm just gonna place over the top like so, and they'll warm through nice and quickly. My morning glory, a quick blanch into the stock. My morning glory straight over. Just as soon as those leaves of your morning glory, your ong chai, have wilted or started to wilt, then you want to take them out because it'll keep them nice and green, bright green, and keep a crunch on those vegetables. And then, last but not least, my marinated beef. I'm just gonna go straight in. That meat cooks incredibly quickly. I want to keep it nice and tender and a little bit rare inside. And of course, last but not least, this beautiful soup with that deep soy color. Again, be really generous with this. Keep topping up your noodles with a bowl full of soup. Whoa. Coriander, just to finish off. And then, if you've got it in you, I've made up a quick nam jim jao, which is basically like a Thai chili flake and fish sauce dressing. My Thai boat noodle soup. So when tasting something like this, it's kind of like eating a fry up. You've got to get a bit of everything onto the spoon if you can. But I don't think it's physically possible. Let's try that first. Wow, it really does remind me of my childhood trips with my family to Bangkok. So many lovely flavours in that. But there's depth of flavour, but nothing too overpowering. And that is the beauty of Thai boat noodle soup. Let us know in the comments below what dishes bring you back to your childhood, that nostalgic feeling.